In a league built on swagger, trash talk, and highlight reels, one man conquered it all with silence. Quick cuts of Jordan's fist pump, Kobe's intensity, Shaq's dominance. While others roared, he whispered. While others celebrated, he nodded. While others chased the spotlight, he perfected his craft in the shadows. His name? Tim Duncan. The big fundamental, the most boring superstar, the silent assassin. And in 2003, he delivered one of the most complete playoff performances in NBA history, a finals series so dominant that he came within one scoring adjustment of a quadruple-double. This is the story of how the quietest man in basketball built one of the loudest dynasties the NBA has ever seen. You're watching FYNK. What's up, basketball fans? Before we dive deep into how Tim Duncan silently dominated an entire era, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're bringing you the most in-depth breakdowns of NBA legends at their absolute peak. Drop a comment right now. Where does Tim Duncan rank on your all-time list? Top 5? Top 10? And who should we cover next? Now, let's rewind to 2003, the year the silent killer took over the league and changed the game forever. Let's go back to where it all started. June 25, 1997, the NBA draft. The San Antonio Spurs had just endured one of the most fortunate bad seasons in league history. David Robinson was injured for most of the year, and the Spurs tanked, whether intentionally or not, to secure the number 1 pick. That pick was Tim Duncan out of Wake Forest, a 4-year college player in an era when superstars were jumping straight from high school to the pros. Duncan stayed in school because he promised his dying mother he'd get his degree. That decision alone told you everything about his character. At Wake Forest, Duncan was already showing the fundamentals that would define his career. Perfect footwork, textbook post moves, defensive positioning that coaches dream about. He wasn't the most athletic. He couldn't jump out of the gym, but he understood basketball at a level that most players never reach. When he arrived in San Antonio, he joined forces with David Robinson, the Admiral, 2 7-footers who could dominate both ends of the floor. And under Gregg Popovich, a first-year head coach with a military background and zero tolerance for nonsense, they became unstoppable. In just his second season, Duncan did what most superstars spend their entire careers chasing. He won a championship. The lockout-shortened 1999 season saw the Spurs roll through the playoffs, and Duncan dominated, averaging 23 points and 11 rebounds in the finals against the Knicks. He was finals MVP at 23 years old, and while other young stars would have basked in the glory, Duncan just went back to work. But the next few years were frustrating. In 2000, the Lakers swept them in the playoffs. In 2001, swept again. In 2002, eliminated in the second round. Shaq and Kobe were the kings of the West, and the Spurs couldn't break through. Duncan was putting up monster numbers. MVPs in 2002 and 2003, All-NBA, All-Defense. But championships are what legends are built on, and time was running out. David Robinson was 37 years old heading into the 2002 to 2003 season, his final year. This was Duncan's last chance to send the Admiral out on top. But there was a problem. This wouldn't be the Twin Towers show anymore. Robinson's body was breaking down. He was still effective, but his minutes were limited. The Spurs were transitioning. This was no longer his team. This was Tim Duncan's team. Gregg Popovich had built a system around discipline and execution. No flashy isolation plays. No hero ball. Just pure, fundamental basketball. Every pass had a purpose. Every screen mattered. Every defensive rotation was calculated. It wasn't sexy. ESPN wasn't replaying their highlights every night, but it was devastatingly effective. And Duncan was the conductor of this symphony. 23.3 ppg, 12.9 rpg, 3.9 apg, 2.9 bpg, 60-22 record, best in NBA. The numbers don't tell the whole story, though. Duncan's impact was in the details. The way he'd alter shots without blocking them. How he'd communicate defensive rotations with a simple point. The way he'd anchor the offense without demanding the ball. He didn't have Shaq's power or Kobe's highlight reels. He had something better. Complete control of the game. By April 2003, the Spurs had the best record in the NBA. They were favorites to win it all. But the road ahead? Brutal. First up, the Phoenix Suns, 6th seed, led by Stephon Marbury, one of the league's quickest guards, and a rookie named Amare Stoudemire who was showing flashes of future stardom. The Suns had speed. They wanted to run. That was their advantage. Push the pace, force turnovers, and get easy buckets before the Spurs could set their defense. But Duncan and Popovich weren't having it. They slowed the game to a crawl. Every possession was methodical. Duncan punished them in the post, drawing fouls, grabbing rebounds, protecting the rim. 18.0 ppg, 16.3 rpg, 3.2 bpg. Spurs win 4-2. Game 6 in Phoenix. Close game down the stretch. The Suns made their runs, but every time they threatened, Duncan had an answer. A putback, a block, a clutch free throw. Spurs closed them out. On to round 2. And here's where it got interesting, because standing in their way were the Los Angeles Lakers. Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Phil Jackson. 3 straight championships. The most dominant team of the early 2000s. The Lakers had eliminated the Spurs in 2001 and 2002. They owned them, swept them in 01. Everyone expected the same result in 2003. Lakers, 50-32 record, 5th seed. Spurs, 60-22 record, 1st seed. But something was different this time. The Lakers were older. They battled through injuries all season. And more importantly, Tim Duncan was ready. Game 1 in San Antonio. Duncan came out aggressive, 32 points. The Spurs stole home court. Wait, no. The Lakers tied the series 2-2 heading back to San Antonio for Game 5. Game 5, Spurs pulled away late. 3-2 series lead. Game 6, Staples Center, Los Angeles. The defending champions home court. Elimination game. The building was electric. Jack Nicholson courtside. Every celebrity in LA showed up expecting to see the Lakers force Game 7. Tim Duncan had other plans. From the opening tip, Duncan was on a mission. Post moves, jump hooks, bank shots. And on defense? Forget about it. He was everywhere. Blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, protecting the paint like it was his personal property. 37 points, 16 rebounds, 4 blocks, 110-82 Spurs victory. 37 points, 16 rebounds, 4 blocks. The Lakers dynasty was over. Shaq and Kobe's last championship together was in the rearview mirror. And Duncan? He just nodded, shook some hands, and walked off the court like he just finished a regular season game in November. Shaq later said, "He dominated us. Simple as that." Kobe added, "He's the best power forward in the game. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him." Next up, the Dallas Mavericks. Dirk Nowitzki was emerging as one of the league's most unstoppable offensive forces. A 7-footer who could shoot from anywhere, handle the ball, and score in ways big men weren't supposed to. Surrounding him were Steve Nash, running the offense with precision, and Michael Finley, a lights-out scorer. The series started competitive. Dallas stole Game 2 in San Antonio. Then came Game 3 in Dallas. Dirk went down with a knee injury. He tried to play through it, but he wasn't the same. And with their superstar hobbled, the Mavericks couldn't keep up. Duncan took full advantage. He averaged 28 points and 16 rebounds for the series. The Spurs won in 6 games, 27.5 ppg, 15.7 rpg, 4.3 apg. Spurs win 4-2. The San Antonio Spurs were headed to the NBA Finals. Their opponent? The New Jersey Nets. The New Jersey Nets weren't the sexiest finals opponent. They'd made it the year before and been swept by the Lakers. But they were back, led by Jason Kidd, one of the best point guards in the league, and Kenyon Martin, an athletic power forward who could disrupt offenses. They played hard-nosed defense. They pushed the pace. They were scrappy underdogs who'd battled through the Eastern Conference. But let's be honest, this finals didn't have the glamour. No Lakers Celtics, no Bulls Jazz. The media predicted low ratings. Casual fans weren't excited. But for basketball purists, this was going to be a clinic. 2 defensive-minded teams, 2 systems-based offenses, coaching chess match between Popovich and Byron Scott. And at the center of it all, Tim Duncan, about to put on one of the greatest finals performances in NBA history. Game 1 June 4, 2003, San Antonio. The Nets came out aggressive, but Duncan set the tone immediately. He wasn't just scoring, he was controlling everything. Every defensive possession ran through him. Every offensive set featured him. 32 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 blocks. 32 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 blocks. A statement game. Spurs win 101-89. Game 2 was closer. The Nets adjusted, double-teaming Duncan more, trying to force others to beat them. Tony Parker and Steven Jackson stepped up. Spurs win 87-85. The series shifted to New Jersey for Game 3. The Nets desperately needed a win at home. They got it. Jason Kidd orchestrated a perfect game, and the Nets role players hit shots. Nets win 99-79. Suddenly, the series had life. 2-1 Spurs. Game 4 in New Jersey. Another tight, defensive battle. The Nets were fighting for their season, but in the fourth quarter, when it mattered most, Duncan took over. Clutch baskets, key rebounds, a blocked shot that sealed the game. 21 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 blocks. Spurs win 76-72, up 3-1. Game 5. Back in San Antonio. Championship closeout game. The arena was rocking. Duncan was absolutely masterful. He scored from everywhere. Mid-range, post, free throws. And on defense, he was a wall. 29 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists. Spurs win 93-83. The Nets extended the series with a Game 5 win. But everyone knew what was coming. June 15, 2000. 2003, Continental Airlines Arena, New Jersey, New Jersey. David Robinson's final game. Tim Duncan's coronation. From the tip, this was Duncan's show. He scored, he rebounded, he passed out of double teams, he protected the rim. Every time the Nets made a run, Duncan had an answer. A putback, a blocked shot, a perfect pass to an open teammate. 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, 8 blocks. 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, 8 blocks. If not for a late scoring change, one of Duncan's baskets was initially credited to him, then changed to David Robinson. Tim Duncan would have recorded the first quadruple-double in NBA Finals history. But Duncan didn't care about the stats. As the final buzzer sounded and confetti fell from the rafters, he didn't jump on the scorer's table. He didn't scream into the cameras. He found David Robinson, his mentor, his teammate, his friend. They embraced, both crying. The Admirals' final game, a championship send-off, Finals MVP, his second championship, his second Finals MVP, and he'd done it by putting up one of the most complete statistical performances in Finals history. That 2003 championship wasn't just a title. It was the foundation of something bigger, the beginning of one of the greatest dynasties in sports history. David Robinson retired, but the Spurs weren't rebuilding, they were reloading. Tony Parker, the lightning-quick French point guard drafted in 2001, was developing into an all-star. His speed and penetration gave the Spurs a new dimension. Manu Ginóbili, the Argentine wizard drafted in 1999 but playing overseas, finally joined the team full-time. His Euro step, his craftiness, his clutch gene, he was unlike anyone in the NBA. And Gregg Popovich? He was just getting started. His system was evolving. His standards remained impossibly high. But at the center of everything, Tim Duncan, the anchor, the constant, the foundation upon which everything was built. 2005, the Spurs won their third championship, defeating the Detroit Pistons in a defensive slugfest. Duncan's Finals MVP. Again. 2007, they dismantled LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in a sweep. Duncan's leadership and Popovich's system were too much. There were heartbreaks too, close playoff losses. The 0.4 shot by Derek Fisher. The 2013 Finals loss to Miami after being 5 points away from a championship. Ray Allen's corner 3. If you're a Spurs fan, you still see it in your nightmares. But in 2014, the Spurs came back with a vengeance. They destroyed the Heat in the Finals rematch with some of the most beautiful team basketball ever played. Duncan's fifth championship. 5 championships, 1999, 2003, 2005, 2007, 2014. 15 years of sustained excellence. 50-plus wins every full season Duncan played. 19 consecutive playoff appearances. But how did Duncan lead this dynasty? Because he wasn't a screamer. He wasn't a motivational speaker. He didn't give fiery pregame speeches. Tony Parker quote on screen. He made us all better just by how he carried himself. You couldn't take a night off around him. Duncan led by example. He was the first one in the gym and the last one to leave. He never blamed teammates for losses. He held himself to impossible standards. He took pay cuts so the team could sign better players. He accepted smaller roles as he aged. He mentored young players without ego. When Kawhi Leonard was drafted in 2011, Duncan took him under his wing, taught him the system, showed him how to be a professional. Popovich quote on screen. He was the best teammate in the history of the game. He made my job easy. The dynasty worked because Duncan set the tone. No egos, no drama, just basketball played the right way. In a league full of flash and personality, Tim Duncan was an anomaly. Allen Iverson crossed people over and stepped over them. Shaq demolished rims and talked trash. Kobe stared down opponents with killer intensity. Duncan? He hit a bank shot and jogged back on defense with the same expression he'd have at the grocery store. The media called him boring. The big fundamental wasn't exactly a sexy nickname. His sneaker deals weren't massive. He didn't star in movies or drop rap albums. He stayed in San Antonio his entire career. Never chased big markets or spotlight. Never demanded trades or created drama. But his game? Surgical. Every bank shot off the glass was geometry in motion. Every defensive rotation was calculated. Every post move was textbook. He didn't need to be flashy because he was perfect. 19 seasons, all with San Antonio. 26,496 career points, 15th all-time. 15,091 career rebounds, 6th all-time. 5 NBA championships. 3 Finals MVP awards. 2 regular season MVP awards. 15 All-NBA selections. 15 All-Defensive selections. 15 All-Star appearances. 5 championships. 3 Finals MVPs. 2 regular season MVPs. 15 All-NBA teams. 15 All-Defensive teams. But here's what's really crazy, the consistency. He made the All-NBA team for 15 consecutive years. The All-Defensive team for 15 consecutive years. That's not just greatness, that's sustained excellence. Most superstars have peak years and valleys. Duncan had peak years and slightly less peak years. years. He was elite from his rookie season in 1997 until his retirement in 2016. Ask anyone who played against Duncan, and the respect is universal. Kevin Garnett. He's the best power forward to ever play. It's not close. Dirk Nowitzki. I modeled my game after him. The footwork, the fundamentals. LeBron James. He's the most consistent player I've ever seen. Kobe Bryant. He killed me with boredom. Same moves over and over. Couldn't stop them. Even his rivals couldn't help but admire him. Because Duncan beat you with skill, not trash talk. He destroyed you with precision, not emotion. He'd block your shot, then help you up off the floor. He'd score on you 12 times in a row with the same move, and never say a word. That was Tim Duncan, the silent assassin. The 2015-16 season was Duncan's 19th and final year. He was 39 years old, still effective, but no longer the dominant force. The Spurs lost to the Thunder in the second round. It was a tough series, and Duncan's age showed. Then, in July 2016, came the announcement. No farewell tour. No final season of standing ovations in every arena. No documentary announcement or primetime special. Just a simple press release. That was Tim Duncan. Even in retirement, no drama, no fanfare, just quiet dignity. Popovich's quote on screen. He made all of us better. Everyone who was around him became a better person and player. When the Spurs retired his number 21, Duncan stood awkwardly on the court, uncomfortable with the attention, just wanting to go home. After basketball, he stayed in San Antonio, coached, spent time with family, worked with young players. No headlines, no controversy, just the same quiet excellence he'd shown his entire career. Tim Duncan's prime wasn't loud, but it was legendary. He didn't just play basketball, he perfected it. That 2003 championship run showed everything Duncan was about. Dominance without drama, excellence without ego, leadership without loudness. He built a dynasty not with trash talk or highlight reels, but with bank shots, perfect positioning, and unshakable consistency. In a league obsessed with noise, he proved that silence could be just as powerful. So the next time someone debates the greatest players ever, don't forget the quiet one. The one who did it his way and built a dynasty that still defines excellence. This was Tim Duncan's Quiet Dynasty, and you just watched FYNK. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of basketball's greatest careers, smash that like button and subscribe for more legendary player breakdowns. We've got Kobe's revenge season, KD's Warriors run, and so many more stories coming your way. Drop a comment. Who's your pick for greatest power forward of all time? Duncan? Dirk? KG? Barkley? Let's debate. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. This is FYNK, where we bring you the stories that made the game what it is today.